Hello guys, my name is Jack Bannerberg, and today I am here with Erik Mozolik, a retention coach here at MATC. Erik, thank you for joining me and being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, and kind of just to start off with, kind of just in general, since a big part of what I'm doing here is really diving into just everyday strategies to, become a better version of you, especially getting 1% better every day. Could you share your thoughts on that, kind of what you believe in that, and like what your beliefs are in just that getting 1% every day and how you utilize that when you talk to your students or just when you have, talking to anyone in general?
Yeah. I love the concept. I definitely feel like I've been living it the last 6 weeks. There's times in my life where it's that idea has definitely ebbed and flowed. I took it in earnest, this idea that we should be our best selves in somehow, some way, when my kids were really young. And it became very obvious that, my 3 and 8-year-olds were hyper aware of everything that I was doing, well, whether I was in front of them or not. So I had to learn that I had to be my best self so they could learn to be their best selves. And having that extra accountability really motivated me to shift focus in my early 30s and take up fitness again. I had let physical fitness lapse for several years. It's really hard when your kids are young. So I think a big part of me trying to become my best self had to be married to excellent time management skills. It's pretty easy, especially when you're young, to get overcommitted to things. I certainly did in my 20s. And it was a myriad of, a full-time job, a part-time job, being married, having young kids, being in school. I mean, I've started and stopped school 3 times since my kids were born. And this you learn pretty quick that you can't be all things to everybody, but it became really important to me to be everything for me, if that makes sense. I really had to reorient that back to myself and not do things that were to somebody else's benefit, but they had to be to my benefit too. So I think I was maybe 32, 33 when I really started to get back into physical fitness. And I've really felt that for a variety of reasons, right? I wanted the health benefits, of course, and I wanted extra energy to have with my kids. But I really, truly feel like physical fitness is one aspect of life that you have total control over, right? I come to work. I work with students all day. I do my best to provide excellent service, but certain things are out of my hands. Same thing with my wife. We have to meet halfway on parenting our children, so on and so forth. But I really felt like, okay, if I'm going to take the time, show up to the gym, what I do here for the next 60, 90 minutes, I'm the one in control of it. I'm the one that's going to reap the benefits. So that really became in some ways like a creative space for me really
Sure.
Getting back into shape. School has done that on occasion too, but whether or not that I have felt that was the right move for me at the time for either for career advancement reasons or whatever have you. My viewpoint on that's just changed over time.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, just like with the gym and stuff in general is like, I've heard the saying, a strong body can create a strong mind, and just, being able to keep up with your physical health can just really do a lot of great things for you, and just being able to balance that can definitely be very tough. And like you said, as you get older, goals have changed and priorities change, especially from, young adults like me to older adults like you that now have children and have a wife and have all this stuff to, balance out and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been fun to try new things too. Really, when I was playing football and through my 20s, weightlifting was a priority, definitely more than cardio. But by my 30s, I realized I can the cardio by nature, because it had been so unexplored before that point, I could make some really cool inroads in. So the focus shifted to a more balanced approach of a high intensity workout with maybe 70% cardio, 30% weightlifting. Really, when I started weightlifting again, it was to give myself a break from cardio and just work a different part of my body, and then come back to the cardio. But I think right before the pandemic, I was at a point where I was running, anywhere from 15 to 30 miles a week, depending on the week and what I was training up for. I had run several, I think 6 half marathons. I was training up for a full marathon, and then the pandemic hit. And I remember having a conscious thought sometime that would have been the summer, I think, of 2020, where I was like, wow, boy, I've really have an over-reliance on a gym membership and a physical space to do that I didn't have at home. And my wife had made me promise her, like, you're not going to go back to a gym until we're vaccinated. Okay, fine. And by the time that happened, boy, I was pretty well out of shape. I had gotten a new position here at the college, and priorities shifted away from fitness, and it's just now sliding back to that. So I've been pretty good about sticking to a regimen the last 6 weeks, because I really want to explore that space again. And in a weird way, I feel like, okay, I did it in my 20s and I saw what I could accomplish with my body in my 20s. Did it again in my 30s, made some major inroads, saw what I could do with my body then. And now I really want to explore that again in my 40s, if that makes sense. So as I age, I want to see what I can do with what I have left. And so I've definitely embraced this idea of getting that much better every day.
For sure. And especially it's just like, as you're getting older, stuff like that, obviously, like I'm in my 20s, so I have no idea how, a 40-year-old body feels yet. But, as you get older, your body isn't the same. And obviously, staying in good health and how you work out and how you, kind of adjust yourself and everything is definitely important. Making sure that, like, you don't like break a bone or you don't do something, super crazy that your body's not like used to or it's not capable of anymore. So adjusting to a fitness routine that's especially good for you at the stage of whatever life you're in, I think is definitely very important and whatnot.
And it takes it creates new awareness, maybe that certainly on things that I haven't been aware of the last couple of years. For example, we're eating dinner as a family last night, and I had a small bowl. We were eating like some Tex-Mex food. Had a small bowl of it. Kind of wanted to go back for some more. I wasn't feeling very full yet, and then I had a kind of an epiphany thought. I said, "Well, dude, if you have some more, you're going to have some bad gut rot when you go to the gym later. Stick with one." And then, sure enough, feeling full, got to the gym, and I feel like I definitely had a better workout because I wasn't full bloated. So I'm learning I have to be more mindful of those thoughts as they come, and I think that will create a better experience for me. I think a lot of people start off strong, have this idea of maybe not even lofty goal, maybe even modest goals, but the minute, because we're such habitual people, the minute something creates a kink in our routine or that, then there's a major off-ramp and we kind of slide back to our routine, even though we made some grand ideas and goals at the beginning of the year. So interestingly enough, this last weekend was it's kind of known as that drop-off period for New Year's Eve resolution folks at the gym. You get to this third weekend in January, and that's when most people unintentionally call it quits. Yes. And it could be for a variety of reasons, right? It's too cold out. I've got something else to do. I'm tired. I've made plans with family and friends already, and I can't fit this in. But the minute you do that, then it becomes a cascading effect. And it's going to be, tomorrow might be a new excuse. The day after that will be another excuse in and of itself. And before you realize it, like any momentum that you would have built up over 3 weeks is evaporated.
Oh, for sure. And I think too is like that's why, especially when it comes to like goal setting and stuff like that, like especially like we've heard the saying, making a SMART goal, I think is one of the best things you can do, especially for those resolutioners that are trying to, up their physical health, trying to go to the gym, every single day or a few days per week and just doing this. And I think a lot of that is, a lot of them don't goal set properly. And I think, utilizing, SMART goals and stuff like that, writing stuff down and sticking to it will make it easier to like stick to it, but I think it'll give them more momentum to, want to keep going after that third period week where you said it, people ramp off and, stop going to the gym for whatever those reasons might be. But I think a lot of that definitely is, partly I like to say, some people maybe don't have the discipline or just not motivated. And I think with gym, the two words I like to say are being consistent and discipline is probably the two biggest things with the gym, I feel like, because, again, you're not going to be motivated every day to want to go to the gym. And that's when discipline comes in, and the people that do stay disciplined will see those results, and the gym will pay off for them. And then just being consistent and just, going, even if it's a few days per week, and just sticking to it, even no matter what.
Somebody told me once, and I thought it was ridiculous when I first heard it, but they said like 70% of the effort's just getting in your car.
Oh, for sure.
But you get in your car, and now it's, okay, well, I got to drive there. You get there, and it's like, well, I'm here. I got to check in and get working out, right? And that by itself kind of like, it's almost like these like minuscule little goals that you're creating yourself, right? And I do it when I'm at the gym too. Okay, another 5 minutes of cardio. Then I'm going to go over to weights. Okay, well, and I'm in the weight bar. Okay, well, I did this, a set of 10 of this before. Let's try to ramp that up a couple pounds. And then you're constantly hyper aware of what you're doing as you're going. Because it is, even when you're there, it's really easy to kind of flow into the motions too.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I've just been curling with 30-pound dumbbells the last 4 weeks. Well, shouldn't you be at 35 if that seems easy, right?
Yes.
And constantly pushing ourselves. And I try to have, so back to what you're saying about goals, I tend to have an overarching goal and then short midterm goals that I'll revise maybe within a couple months, and then very short term, almost daily goals that I'm working with to try to get there. And I think having a three-pronged approach, at least for me, I've been able to find real success. Yeah, it can be really hard if you're being very casual about it. But if on the flip side of that coin is I'm also hyper aware that 90 minutes a day is an incredible commitment for me, really for any of us.
Oh, for sure.
For our schedules, right? So if I'm going to take that 90 minutes, what can I do with it then to be just a little bit more better each day to get me to my ultimate goal? My ultimate goal was and still is, I got set off by an Achilles injury when I was 39, but is to run a marathon. That was my ultimate goal. You won't find many people around 275, 300 that can run a marathon. But that was where I was with my running weight. Really wanted to do that, explore that. But I also understand, like, I'm not going to be there in 6 months, right? I have some serious weight I have to lose.
Yes.
So my midterm goal for until spring is I want to lose 30 pounds and then reassess and see how I feel. So then, dialing that back further, what can I do today to try to make sure I hit that goal in 3 months? Well, obvious one is get to the gym. Okay, but when I'm there, what am I doing? Am I going to stick to the same cardio regimen and weight regimen for the next 3 months and hopefully that I magically get there? No, that's not going to work that way. I'm going to have to evolve those short-term goals, those real small goals, week to week, if not day to day, to make sure that I'm engaging myself and I can meet those goals too.
Oh, for sure. And then just like, being able to like utilize like what steps you have to take and kind of making it a goal, I think will give you more momentum in general just because, you're taking it kind of one step at a time and really just like, to get to that long-term goal, you got to start with like, the small things and just, seeing where can I start and, where will I be in a month? Where will I be in 2 months? Where will I be in 6 months?
That really worked and helped. I mean, that mindset has helped me since my 20s. What I can tell you is now in my 40s, my body feels a lot different. So even though I've got the goals and I've got the structure in place, I also have to be mindful of like how I feel.
For sure, yeah.
I'm definitely feeling it. I've had to, I really up until age 40 or 41, I didn't take any supplements other than a multivitamin. I was able to, luckily I was able to do okay without. I do take creatine now.
Yes.
And I've got a very logical reason why. One of the things creatine does is it'll kind of help your muscles retain water better. That by itself will really help you cut down on your risk of tearing a muscle.
Yes.
I already have a torn rotator cuff here, so I've got to be creative about some of the weightlifting that I can do. I've torn this one, and it was a pretty major tear when I think I was 33 when that happened. Had surgery at 34, and that put me out for about 5 months. So I knowing that I don't want to have to go back to that, like either sitting out 5 months, having to go through invasive surgery, I thought the creatine would help. It's helped a little bit with my energy level too. So yeah, I take a pre-workout on the weekends when I go in the morning. At night, it's just a straight creatine shake before I head to the gym. And I'll tell you, I notice I'm a lot more tired too. Some of that is because I'm out of shape and I'm getting back into shape, but part of that is also just my age. So I'm having to be respectful of the fact that I'm just going to be more tired, and then how do I address that, right?
Oh, for sure.
I know that I've got to get a good amount of sleep, because the amount of sleep that I got last night has to carry me forward till about 8 o'clock when I can get to the gym later.
Yes.
And if it's not, well, then this is kind of all for naught. So it's finding a way to balance out all these different things in my life, make sure I'm meeting my employer's needs at both places, and I'm being a decent husband and father.
Yes, for sure. Showing up for the kids and everything.
Yeah, doing all that, and then still having the time and the energy at the end of the day to do what I want to do for my own self and my own body.
Oh, for sure. And, just setting that routine for yourself initially, like even before all that happens, is definitely important too. Because I think what happens with a lot of people especially is, sometimes people don't set that routine. They don't think about, how much they're, going to be dealing with and how much they're going to have to actually balance. So then when it comes time, some people crumble because of that. But I think setting that routine and just knowing how much you're going to be balancing and knowing how much time you're going to have for, time with your wife, time with the kids, or time, at the gym, time at work, and just balancing out your life every day. And also for sleep too, because I know sleep's definitely a very big thing, just physically and mentally too, for your health as well. And just being able to get the right amount of sleep can definitely make a huge difference, even just within me too, is like when I don't get the right amount of sleep. I mean, some days I just can function on 4 hours of sleep, God knows how, but if, even still, like generally, if I get like 4 hours of sleep, I'm not going to function fully properly, and I'm going to be a lot more tired like earlier in the day, and it'll be hard for me to want to have that time for like other things. Where I just want to go to sleep.
Even if you get to the gym on 4 hours of sleep, you will not do the same routine or the same.
Your body won't feel the same.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to throw the same effort into it if you got a good 7 or 8 hours.
Oh, for sure.
Just biologically how we are. So yeah, I've had to learn to be respectful of those things too. And I will say too, we're creatures of habit. It's easy to want to create a rigid structure of a schedule, like, okay, I'm going to do this at this time, and then the gym later. Well, it's okay to have transitions in your schedule and identify that maybe you have to switch things up to
100%.
Either for guys your age, it's going to be your school schedule, right? Your school schedule changes every 4 months. Well, naturally, other things around your life are going to change in those 4 months too. Maybe it makes more sense to shift to an AM workout rather than a PM workout, or maybe that shifts when you need to eat a solid breakfast and lunch so that you're feeling energetic throughout your day. All of that's going to change, and it's okay to be proactive about tweaking those things to meet your daily needs.
100%. And I mean, again, with a lot of people too, it's just like, being able to like plan ahead and just know is like what will change. And that's kind of it's very relatable to kind of how I have operated, especially the last few months, and just being able to like readjust things that like whenever I do something at this time, like doing it at a different time. I'm usually a morning person at the gym, but even too, sometimes it's like, if I, am working, earlier in the day or whatever, then I just have to go in the afternoon and just kind of plan my each day kind of just depending on what is like my top priority and getting that done right away or getting that done. And then, like the little other things that like you could find other time for, like the gym, like you can always go in the morning, afternoon, whereas like with work and stuff, like you have to work your morning shift or your night shift or whatever it is, and just being able to really work around it regardless of kind of what you got thrown at you and what obviously your life is like.
Sure. So let's talk about this then. Let's talk about the why. Why the heck are we even doing this? I mean,
Yes.
I kind of laid out some of mine. I think for me, it's my goals are probably more normal in the fact that I want to focus on weight loss, and then I maybe have some fitness goals in there too. But why, as a young guy, you look pretty physically fit. Why do you believe fitness is so important?
I think fitness is especially important for a lot of people and just everyone in general because, and I said this earlier in the podcast, but a strong body creates a strong mind. You, not only when you physically feel better, you mentally feel better about yourself. You build confidence, and you have something kind of look forward to every day. It's just, you're knowing that when you are going to the gym and you are doing that workout or that run, you're getting better every single day. You're building that momentum, or for me, it's like building that discipline every single day. Just being able to, carry that over to other things in life and just, how I carry myself, how I present myself, and just kind of my overall mood and stuff like that. And when I did, start really lifting and stuff, I quit cross country actually and running just to take on lifting because how much I really enjoyed it. And at the time, I was skinny as heck. I was like, I need to build some muscle, but when I started doing that and like obviously in a healthy way and still running and doing the cardio, my life got a million times better, not just physically, but mentally too. I started thinking more clearly. I just felt better about myself. I wasn't really that insecure by myself anymore. And just, I think everything in life, just from, school, work, physically, whatever you want to call it, I think it just overall got better. And I think that's why going to the gym and being on some sort of fitness routine, rather than be even just walking, I think is so important for everybody. And why, I even tell my friends that don't do it is like definitely like, start walking, start off small and build and really involve fitness in your life because it will do miracles for you even if people don't think it will. It will do plenty of miracles as it did for me 100%.
Do you think it provides you a sense of accomplishment and confidence?
Oh, 100%. Just hitting a certain weight, or like even with the bench press, for example, is like I used to only be able to do 25s on each side, but hitting like 135 for the first time was a huge accomplishment for me, just knowing how far I came in the gym and just like having that ability to just, have a goal and just hit it for anybody, rather it is fitness or not. It's just so dang rewarding, and just knowing that, you're working towards something and the hard work does pay off, and just kind of, even if you're not motivated, having that discipline is just so important.
Yeah. No, it does. It weirdly, this reminds me of when I was in the gym this past weekend. I went with my youngest, who's a football player. He's really trying to embrace weightlifting, get bigger, faster, stronger for next football season. And you go to even a place like Planet Fitness, right? There's no shortage of your meatheads or people that look very physically fit. But we were walking out as a guy that was very heavy set walking in. Now I'm particularly, because I'm a heavy set guy. Even my son is no lightweight. My son looks at me and goes, "Holy cow, that dude's huge." And I looked at him and I said, "There is no other place this guy should be than this gym right now. This place was made for people like him."
Yes.
Right, and we kind of had a little bit more of a conversation back and forth, and I said, you have to remember, Stephen, everybody starts somewhere.
100%, yes.
And I think the optics of going to a big gym where you're going to see a lot of very physically fit people can be kind of intimidating, to say the least. But it doesn't matter if you look like Ronnie Coleman, if you know who he is.
Yes.
Or
Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
Arnold.
Or somebody like me, if you're there with a goal-oriented mindset and a growth mindset, you're walking out with the same thing, a feeling and a sense of accomplishment.
Yes.
That's what matters most. And it has to me. And it's easy for me to say because I hit a lot of my fitness goals per se when I was younger, right? Squatted 650. I've leg pressed over 1,000. I used to bench press 320.
Wow.
And that's just not my focus anymore, right? My focus really is on wellness and balance. And I think I would really highly encourage people that are interested and curious to explore this space, physical fitness, to come at it with that approach. You know, I'm not. It's easy for an athlete, and you were one, to say kind of come at it with like, I'm going to be the very, very top tier best at this, whether it's a 5K, bench press, whatever have you. But start small with an idea of this is going to be tough, but it's good for me.
Yes.
I'm embracing this change, and an open-mindedness of what can I do from here. You know, when I first got back into shape in my 30s, and I was overweight. I was more overweight than I am now, and I can remember I dieted and exercised and trained up all year. I lost about 90 pounds. I was much heavier than I was now. And I, as my made it moment, I did a 5K through my old college, my alma mater, with a buddy of mine that I had played football with. And for me, this was going to be a once and done. Cool, I did the thing, neat accomplishment. Well, we ended the race, and he said, and I don't even remember what time I posted. It wasn't anything great. But he said, cool, now you've got a benchmark time to go with. And that really opened my eyes to, I can do this more. This is a space that I can explore.
Yes.
I've set that benchmark, and then every race, it was, is that time a little bit better? Am I getting a little bit better? I lost track of how many 5Ks I've run now. It would be in the hundreds, so I'm not even kidding. Same thing with my half marathons. It got to a point where I was like, I don't really necessarily care about the time. Now it's experience, and it's all about how I'm feeling at the end of it too.
Oh yeah, no, it's funny too because with cross country, it always says, there's always that runner's high at the end of the race, and that's probably the biggest reason why I enjoyed running in cross country so much, was because that is a feeling that is definitely one of the best feelings I would say I've ever felt, is having that runner's high, especially after like a big PR or whatever. But I kind of like think about that, and it's like, that could pertain to the gym too, is just having that gym's high as well. I kind of get sometimes, especially after like a good lift, or especially hitting legs.
100%.
That's definitely one of the hardest things to hit, is definitely legs 100%, I feel like. But I think with running too, it's so important in just like, building, like having a small goal and benchmark, especially when I did run cross country in high school, is just like, can I get better every single race? Even if it's by a second. There was junior year where I was getting like 17, like I think it was like 1740, 1739, and like I kept getting better 1 second each race, which was very hilarious, but it, at the end of the day, is like, I'm getting better by 1 second even.
Yeah, it's when you hit that kind of plateau, your gains are going to be incredibly incremental.
Yes.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people that get frustrated and lose focus at that space too, in that space too. But that was never me. I think at that point I almost felt like I was hitting my stride, and it almost becomes fun anyway, right? Like, I'm going to do this because I like doing it. And the bonus points here are if I beat my old time, if that makes sense. So
just being able to, get that 1 second better always is a big accomplishment and everything like that. Just kind of to wrap up here and everything like that, if you had any, piece of advice or anything to tell anybody about, if they're in a rut or they're just like feeling kind of lost or anything like that, don't know where to start, what would you say is the number one thing to think about?
Try something new. Bottom line, try something new. If physical fitness is new for you, then try it in a way that is safe and welcoming for you, if that makes sense. One thing I'll say about the running community, now that you ran, the running community is so positive.
Yes.
If you open your eyes, your mind, and your heart to some of those things, you'll find communities that are open and welcoming to new people that just want to do better by themselves too. It's okay to want to walk into something, being realistic about where you're starting from, and adopting a growth mindset from there, and embrace people around you. We're social creatures by nature. Fitness can be one of the ways in which we meet some really new, incredibly cool people that are all just trying to do better by themselves too.
And I think that helps, especially with like the running group, because again, everybody is kind of doing, you know, the same thing. Everyone's going through the same obstacle of, you know, having to run this many miles or just run in general. And just finding those people that kind of fall in line with your similar goals or falling in line with similar hobbies really helps you build that momentum just doing it with somebody else or having that gym buddy too. Though I've always been a guy to lift by myself, and luckily I've had that, you know, motivation, discipline to do that. But for a lot of people, having that person or having that group of people really does wonders for them and really helps them start on the right foot, especially if they're just, you know, don't feel motivated, just feel lost. Having that external factor of someone else guiding you in that right direction and doing it with someone knowing that you're both going through the same thing, I think really helps them kind of get started or get out of that negative or rut that they might be experiencing.
That's awesome. I love that too.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in and everything like that. This is Erik, Retention Coach MATC, and we'll see you guys later.